Geocachomaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
It's time for our 137th episode of the GeoGearHeads. I'm your somewhat fatigued host, the Bad Cop, with Daryl W4 and this week's guest, the Geocaching Doc.
Hey guys, great honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here on the show and look forward to finding out a little more about you. Your caching, your YouTube channel, and vlogging, or vlogging as some people prefer to say. First, though, we know many of those watching are listening and want to know who won the prize for this week's drawing from coinsandpins.com.
Well, my sources, if they're correct,
And
which
they
should
usually
be
are.
because it's Daryl, tells me that out of the dozen correct entries from for the gift from the coinsandpins.com, the winner was a fish out of water.
You know, you make that mistake of trusting me, but this time you are correct. So congrats, Fish Out of Water, and you should already have received the email, and actually I know she did because she just replied to me tonight, asking which prize pack you'd like. You'll have the choice of the achievement coins, state flag tags, or patches. And, you know, it's really funny, guys, because it was just yesterday at the event. She was asking me if she's ever going to win a prize, and I told her she was going to probably have a good chance since there were only about 10 entries, and we ended up with a dozen entries. So, you know, she got lucky and she won. What a coincidence. But if there are any GeoGearheads out there who want their own goodies from coinsandpins.com, they've shared a code, MANIACS, that's MANIACS, all lowercase, and that will get you 10% off your order at coinsandpins.com. Thanks to Aaron and the Coins and Pins crew for those prizes and the discount code everyone can use. Make sure to join us live for the randomized show in a couple of weeks, though, because you'll have a chance to win a very cool navigation coin during that live giveaway.
You know, that's really cool. I've seen that coin, Daryl, and I'm kind of jealous. I kind of want it, but I can't win it. So that means it's even better, a better chance for you to be able to win it. So, now, this round, some of you were curious about the answer. We asked from whose pen did the term muggle come from?
And to be honest, I wasn't 100% sure what that answer was, but the answer to that question was the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling.
There you go. And don't worry, we have a question at the end of this show for another chance to win a code from project-gc.com. And a quick reminder for any of the patrons listening, this Saturday we're going to do the August Patron Hangout. That's at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'll be live from the block party. If you're there, see if you can find me. It'll be before it's officially up and running, but you know how geocachers are. They're usually there, you know, if it starts at 10, they're going to be there at 6 in the morning. Or at least the dedicated one. So if you're there, see if you can find me, and I really hope to catch up with you. But now, let's get to you, GC Doc, and give us a little background about your vlogging.
Oh, sure. Well, I started geocaching in 2011. And it was just a few months into caching, I came across a pretty evil cache find. And I struggled with this thing. I mean, probably 4 times. And it's archived, but I can still give you the GC number. GC2TPJJ. And I was looking, like all good cachers do, looking back into previous logs, and found someone pointing to a YouTube video. So I went on a computer, checked out the YouTube video, and it was the cache owner giving you a little hint of what was hidden there. Just so happened that YouTube video was Joshua Johnson's channel, the geocaching vlogger. I went out and found that cache, but in the meantime I probably watched every one of his videos, as well as Sven's videos, if you're familiar with geocache spoilers, and those two really got me started in creating my own videos and putting them on YouTube. The crazy, sorry about to interrupt, but the crazy thing about that, Joshua and I, we met through YouTube, and we didn't know each other previously, obviously, and turns out that we only live 2 miles away from each other, which is just so ironic.
So you get to go hang out and bludgeon each other for the better equipment that the other person might have acquired during that recent period.
We share quite a bit, which is nice. I reach out to his knowledge, and he reaches out for my camera once in a while. So
there you go. Okay. Well, how you mentioned how you got into it, but why is it that you really got into the vlogging and set up your own channel?
That's a funny thing. What I initially wanted to do with my channel, I've always been really into hiding caches and making really creative hides, and that's what I initially wanted to do with the channel, was just make videos of me making my caches. But then I ran into the fact that I couldn't make enough caches for how many videos I wanted to put out. In order to stay really popular and current on YouTube, you got to be consistent with your videos. So I started just doing kind of the vlogging as well, and getting my family involved and my wife involved when she wants to go caching, which is very seldom. But that's kind of how I got the bug a little bit. And obviously meeting Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, that helped tremendously. He was able to tell me, how to approach it and what to do, and yeah, go from there. It was really fun.
Now, you mentioned that he's a little envious of the equipment you have. So I like that. Tell us what you're using to create your videos.
Sure, it's nothing extraordinary, but it does, I think, does a good job. For my camera, I'm using a Panasonic Lumix. The model number is DMC FZ200. That's a super zoom camera, if anybody's familiar with cameras. I picked that one because it's really good with video, and it works really well in low light, and the lens for that works well. Also, I'm using a pretty basic Vivitar mini shotgun mic. I've done some modifications to that so it can block out wind, and also I use the GorillaPod camera mount, because there's many times I need to do some kind of creative shot, and when I'm out in the woods, it's too hard to bring a tripod, so it's good to kind of pop that up on a tree.
Nice. What software are you using to put these videos together and produce them?
Oh, sure. So editing software, I use Adobe Premiere Elements 10, and I also use the Photoshop Elements 10 for kind of the post-production stuff. But basically that's all I use, and it's working really good.
Very nice. Now, we actually did get a question from one of our listeners, so why don't we answer that one right now?
Hey, Daryl and Bad Cop. This is Banana Sauce. I understand you've got the GC Doc on your show tonight, and I was wondering if he'd mind answering a question for me. As he is a vlogger and has used several bits of kit, I wondered what kind of kit he'd recommend for a young vlogger starting out, a child, for example. I'm not talking Dr. D, because, well, he does things his own way anyway. But I just wondered what kind of starter kit and what kind of software he'd recommend for them as well to edit the videos. Anyway, thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.
All right, so what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. My biggest response, I get this more than you realize from a lot of people that I meet or watch my videos and say, I'm starting to do something similar. What should I use? What do you use? Obviously want to know what's the best stuff out there. But to be honest, my recommendation is use what you have right now. I started with a smartphone shooting video. Granted, it wasn't the best quality, but I needed to find out if I liked talking in front of a camera first off, and then I needed to find if I liked editing my video afterwards. So I used what I initially started using was just whatever came on the computer. So I run Windows, so I was using Movie Maker, and I know Apple's have the same kind of thing, and kind of a basic. So that's my recommendation. Just start off with what you have. Make sure it's something that you want to do, and that you're going to enjoy doing. And then further down the road, if you're still doing it and have an interest, you can start kind of upgrading, kind of what I did.
Well, and the thing that came to mind for me when I first heard this, because I know that they have iPhones and iPod Touches, was the iPod Touch and the iPhones are pretty good video cameras, and they also have the iMovie editing software available for them. If you've got a newer phone, it even comes with the phone now. You can download and install it. It's not preloaded, but it comes free with a phone iPad now when you buy them. So that's even included, and it's a great way for the kids to get started and play with it. As they get a little bit more interested, there's accessories that you can get for the iPhones and for Android phones as well, things like mics. If you're interested in Windows Phone, the Lumia series has some amazing cameras. So those are another one that I would definitely suggest if you're looking for something on that platform. But yeah, if you've got the smartphone, get the editing software on there for the kids to play with it, and that way it's all right there in the phone, which they're probably going to be playing with anyway.
Yeah. You know, Daryl, I've come across a few really nice smartphone apps and accessories. There's one that's a remote shutter. So you can, set your phone up, start the recording, you don't have to see yourself walking into frame, that kind of thing. It takes a little less editing, gets you a little better cut to start with. Also, for the Apple products, there's an app called Collaboracam, which will allow you to bring in up to 4 devices as remote cameras. So, you can get these things really cheap and produce some decent video.
Yeah, those are kind of cool apps of Collaboracam. We've played with that a little bit using the iPad as like the controller, and then a couple of iPhones. But that's more for live production. Probably not something the kids are going to want to use. But the thing that really strikes me with any of these options is you want an external microphone. You want something that's going to give you much better sound than what you get out of the device itself. That's true of almost all of the camcorders even. So check out some of the options for your device, whatever that is, whether it's a smartphone, a camcorder, or a super zoom. Plug in an external mic. Don't try to go wireless. That's my recommendation, because a good wireless system costs quite a bit of money. Stick with the cords. It's going to be a little bit cumbersome if you're trying to do like the lapel mics, the little clip-on ones, or if you're trying to do a stick mic for like interview style. But they do have some decent shotgun mics, and that's basically what you're using on your Super Zoom is one of those mini shotgun mics.
Exactly. Yeah, and it works really well.
Yeah, and you have to just kind of go and read the reviews, see what people are talking about as far as how those mics work. A lot of the shotgun mics are designed for picking up a wide audience, not so much the person talking right in front of it. So that's one of the things that you're going to look for in those reviews and in the specs, is whether it's designed for someone talking in front of it or to get the ambient sound. So do you have any tips for Banana Source or his kids as they get involved to help them get started publishing those vlogs?
Sure. Well, first I was going to comment, if it is Dr. D using the possibly doing the vlogging, he might not want to bring his smartphone out. My daughter, we started doing that with her. I bought her a Kodak Playful. I bought it on clearance, and the good thing about that is it's water resistant, and I got it for a reasonable price, so I don't care if she dings it up or breaks it or whatever. And that's a good option there, rather than bringing out a $700 smartphone out in the woods.
Good point. Or $300 used iPod Touch or whatever.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, if you're looking at those kind of things, you'll find on sale a lot of times some of the more durable cameras for under $200, and that's probably a really good option for anyone who wants something for any of their still photography, any of their videos that they might do caching, because it is going to be more resistant to those drops and dings that you don't really expect. Or put it in a case, but when you've put something like an iPhone or your Galaxy into one of those cases, you really have to pay attention to what's on the back and how that camera gets exposed, because most cases do a lot to absolutely destroy the image quality.
Well, and the sound.
And sound, yeah.
And the sound, yes. And at that point, you definitely have to have an external mic. And most of the mics that are designed for smartphones are not designed to have a case with it, so they don't work so well if you have a case.
Sure. As far as tips go, too, big tips that I kind of came across when I first started caching. Try, if you're going to publish on YouTube, you want to publish something at least 720p because that's going to give you a better picture quality. I can't tell you how many times the 480p is just, it's so hard to watch that online. Also, using a handheld device, this is one of the biggest problems that I run into. People, shooting in portrait. Excuse me, I got little ones jumping on the bed here.
No problem. And what he's talking about is the
shooting
tall versus the wide
portrait
video.
versus the horizon, because what you get on YouTube is you get black bars on either side, and it causes it's not pretty to look at, really.
No,
Vertical video syndrome.
Yeah,
Yes,
I love
exactly.
a lot of the videos about avoid vertical video syndrome.
It's such a pet peeve of mine, definitely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things I was thinking about, trying to keep things steady. Try to be as steady as possible. Again, I'm kind of going back to my mistakes. If I look back at my videos, I can't stand a lot of them because I see all those little things that I'm like, I should have done that, or whatever. Steady, keeping the camera, the phone, whatever, steady, and avoid fast panning or zooming in on things, because it's just the viewer is going to get motion sickness watching your videos if it's too much.
Well, that, and with the compression from YouTube and most of the compression technologies and even the sensors that we have now, they don't do well with the motion. So you'll get the weird tearing, and you'll get the jelly roll kind of stuff with some of the even better sensors. So yeah, avoid a lot of motion. And talking about the stabilized video, one trick that a lot of people don't realize is the more you zoom in, the tighter you get, the more noticeable that is. So if you're trying to do video of yourself talking and like walking, you might not like the look, but make sure that you're zoomed out all the way so that you have a nice wide shot, and then it's not as likely that you're going to see the bouncing like you would if you're zoomed in a little much or a little closer.
And if you're zoomed all the way out and you get a wide shot, you can crop in and remove some of the bouncing. You have tools to do that. Now, GC Doc, you mentioned that they're keeping things steady. I mean, as I'm walking through the woods geocaching, I have trouble just staying upright. I'm klutzy. I trip. I fall. I can't imagine going through the woods and holding a camera out and not looking where I'm walking. So what? Besides that, are there any other hazards to doing geocaching vlogs?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, protect your gear. Keep track of your gear. I've lost things.
You can sacrifice the body. The body will heal, but the gear, once it's broken, it's broken.
Yeah, I've dropped many things. My camera I dropped once. Thank goodness it didn't harm anything. But keeping track of what you have on you, GPS, camera, whatever else you're carrying with you. Keys is a big one. But also be aware of your surroundings. Oftentimes you have a camera in your face. In my situation, I'm usually camera in my face, GPS in my hand, and I got 3 kids in tow. So I'm got to make sure. Thank goodness we don't have any poisonous animals in our area. But there's we have bluffs, and we have poison ivy, and we have a lot of water that you could trip and fall into. So just being aware of what you're doing, then that just comes with practice. Just practice.
And that's where having the waterproof housing can help when you do trip and fall. At least you're not, destroying your camera.
Exactly.
All right, so we talked a little bit about a lot of stuff already, and you mentioned that you don't like to go back and look at some of those old videos because you get annoyed at some of the stuff that you had done that you now know not to do, which we've all done that. Trust
We
me.
do the same thing. We don't want to go back and listen to our old shows. We look.
We
at
don't.
that
We
and,
don't want to listen to
I
our
can't
current
believe I
shows
did
either,
that.
though. So that
Oh, there you go. The future shows, we're really excited about those.
Yes. Me
right,
too.
exactly.
Yes.
But do you have any of the videos that you've done that are favorites that people should go and check out for a little bit more experience on what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely. Probably my ultimate favorite caching video that I've made is my Magic Lab geocache, and I sent you guys links to all these videos, so I'm sure viewers can find them in the show notes. But that was one where Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, went out and hid a a lab cache for me and my daughter, and we went out and found it, and it snowed like 10 inches before we went and found it, so it was just a winter wonderland. One of my favorite videos. Otherwise, geocaching prank. That's another one of my favorite ones. That's again with the geocaching vlogger, but I kind of snuck him out on one of my milestone caches, and he didn't quite know what we were going to do, so we ended up walking quite a ways to find a virtual cache, and he was kind of a little perturbed a little bit that he walked all that way just to grab a virtual cache, which I like virtual caches, I guess, but it was all in good fun. Probably my last video that I'd recommend, I mean, they're all good, but my one other favorite ones is called Geocaching Brotherhood. It's where I go out caching with two cachers that are brothers, that they started caching together and they still do cache together. And we had a great morning geocaching, and it's really fun to see those two kind of in action, working the GPS and working with each other to find the caches. So those three videos are probably my ultimate favorite ones.
Yeah, I definitely have seen the prank. I think I saw some of the lab cache one, but I definitely haven't seen the Brotherhood, so I'll have to go and backtrack through those. But how can you not like virtuals, unless maybe it was a McDonald's? And if you dragged him like 2 miles to see a McDonald's, then he has a right to be very upset with you.
He was being a little dramatic. He kind of plays it up a little bit, so it was all in good fun.
Yeah, that he does. Yeah, it's all in good fun.
Definitely. So, yeah, those are the ones I really enjoy and recommend people checking out to see kind of what I prefer to make, and hopefully they'll enjoy it as well.
Nice. Now, were there times geocaching that you wished, oh, that was a great moment we just had there, and I didn't record it? Are there moments that you wish you could have shared but didn't?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. There are a few. Sometimes I haven't, due to permissions, I always ask the cache owner ahead of time before I post the videos if I have permission to post the video. And there's been a few that said, I'd rather not have you post it because I kind of want to keep it, a surprise to the future finders. And I understand that, and I totally agree. So those situations where it maybe didn't show the cache hide, but still showed you kind of the location and gave you an idea of what I found. But otherwise, there's been a few times. I don't actually always video when I go caching, believe it or not.
What?
There's a very few times I don't, but there's been a couple of times where it was really fun and beautiful area, but just didn't have my camera with. So.
Well, that does bring up a good point of trying not to spoil caches for viewers. Yeah, there's one thing if they're not going to make it out ever to the area, then show them a good cache. But you don't necessarily want to spoil the cache for people who are in the area, and you certainly don't want to spoil the cache if you haven't gotten permission from the owner. So I know some people have gone and done two different openings. One where they say, hey, I'm just out here looking for a cache, blah, 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 and one where they'll actually give the information about the cache.
True.
And that way, if the cache owner is okay with the container and the hide being out there, then they can go with the full thing. If they say, I don't really want people to know it's, this cache, then you can go with, the easier one, and of course, a lot of times you'll have to scrap it. So if you can, it's best to get the permission before you go out, because then you know whether you can shoot it or not and save yourself that effort. But a lot of the time, it's just you stumble across it and find it's a great cache and it's something that you want to put up, and you didn't know that before you went out, so you couldn't have asked permission before you went out.
Exactly, and those are the times I usually just have my phone with me, and those are the ones I can't stand going back and looking at because it's like, oh, the audio is not, you can't even hear me, and but it's those, caught in the moment kind of situations where I have to film this,
Yeah, and don't be surprised if the cache owner doesn't want the information out. It doesn't want the video posted. That's just kind of part of it, and you have to chalk it up to another one that stays on my hard drive and never goes anywhere.
Yep, exactly. I have a few of those, but not a whole lot.
Now, I know we ran into you at Woodstock, and I know a few other viewers found you there as well. Do you have any interactions with viewers that really stick in your mind as interesting?
Definitely Woodstock was fun, because that was my first mega event, which was awesome. And it was really my first time running into viewers across the country from different parts, not just my local area. So that was definitely a great time. Running into other vloggers as well, like GeoDave, and obviously I went there with the geocaching vlogger, but Peanuts and Pretzels, which I'm sure you guys, I think you've had them on the show, possibly?
Yep. Yeah, we had them on the show. Shoot! It was just before, I think, Geo Woodstock.
That's right. Yeah, they were talking about all the stuff in Georgia, all those great caching events and stuff. It's just amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, we had the Go Caching crew on there, which was thanks to them we got connected with that crew, and boy, I wish I could make it to that event.
I know. The planning is just unreal. I ran into them too at the Geo Woodstock, and they were telling me all about their events. So that was just amazing, the amount of work that they put in. But it was a lot of fun just having people come up to you and say, I enjoy what you do, keep doing it, and it's fun to kind of see them in person and talk with them and go caching with them. Otherwise, like in local events here, I always hold the Worldwide Flash Mob event. That's a fun time too, because then my local cachers can get in on my videos, and I hope they enjoy it at least, and then participate in our events. So those are my big interactions with my viewers that I've enjoyed thus far. But many more to come. Hopefully someday I make it out to the block party, and that will be a whole another experience.
Oh, hopefully, because that is, I've only been to the one. That is a great one. But, my co-host over there,
yes,
he gets to see the block party every year because it's in his backyard.
Well, yes. But, Midwest Geo Bash, that's a little too far out of the way. So, I think we're even, right?
No, I think the block party is definitely
it's the block party.
But I still have to wonder, Chris, why you let them set up all those porta potties and everything in your backyard for, block party.
Well, actually, one of the good locations is on the way to the porta potties, because then you're going to see everybody who's come to the block party. They're going to pass by your booth, and you can wave and say hi, as long as the wind is in the right direction.
Yeah, well, it's the day after. I don't want to be in your house with we're joking, of course. But yeah, if you are going to be at the block party, make sure to check Chris, you should probably try a glimpse before the block party this time.
I'm going to try on the drive up, and while I'm there. Last year they put us in a different location. This year is going to be a different one yet, but I've been promised I'm in the center, the heart of it all. So it'll be interesting to see where we are, but I'll do a glimpse, and I'll use the group tag block party, and we'll see what happens.
So that's going to be exclamation mark block party, one word, no spaces.
Right. Or should I do BP24? No, I'm going to stay with block party. We'll stay with block party.
Yeah, block party's easier to remember, but the question is who else is going to use that tag. And the cool thing is when you do the group, you'll be able to see everyone else who's sharing to that tag as well. So it's like a bunch of little ants running around Seattle.
Exactly.
That is if you share. And by all means, share and share on so that we can all watch all the little ants running around. Because exactly. I want to watch too. I have to live vicariously,
Well, we mentioned earlier that the block party is going to be this Saturday. So that's just a couple of days away from me. And if you're listening to this live, it's a couple of days away from you. If you're listening to the recording, you've already missed it. So that will also be our August patron hangout, and we're really looking forward to that. It's one of the ways we like to say thank you to our patrons for supporting the GeoGearHeads and allowing us to keep these shows coming. So once again, thank you. Now, I've lost my place.
I was going to say, you seem to have lost your train of thought.
So we'd like to say thank you to everyone who supports these shows through Patreon or one-time PayPal donations. Sharing the shows with your friends through social media, reviews in iTunes and Stitcher, don't forget those, and others. We really appreciate it, and that's what keeps us going. If you'd like to contribute, head on over to the website and click the Patreon button to make a monthly contribution to the GeoGearHeads and get access to those kind of special shows and bonuses. We do bonus shows from time to time, talk more with the guests than we can fit into our normal schedule. You get access to that, and that's cool stuff. So head over to your podcast directory of choice, could be iTunes, could be something else, and leave us a review, which would be good if you want to share that with your fellow location-based gamers, especially geocachers.
All right, before we let you go, let's get, of course we'll have the links for your geocaching profile and your channel and all of the links that we've mentioned in here. But what's the best way if people want to find out a little bit more about you and your vlogging?
Well, the best way to find out is to watch the vlogs on YouTube, and that's at youtube.com/thegcdoc. And I'm also on a lot of social medias and almost have all of them as the GC Doc, so it's pretty easy to find me. I'm pretty active on Twitter, Instagram, a little bit of Facebook, and yeah, those are my big ones. Of course, though, like I said, YouTube. Check me out and subscribe because it's free and it's easy to do. And it's just every week you got a video from me. No matter where I am, there'll be one posted, and who knows what I'm up to. It's crazy, crazy life with having 3 young ones, and actually there's one on the way that should be here any week now. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a busy time right now in my household.
I can imagine, but you're going to want to get your fingers ready because we have a bunch of awesome shows coming up. And next week, we're going to be talking with Shapespeare on 3D printed maps. The week after that is our randomized 26 show, and Sonny of Podcasters is going to be joining us for that one. Then on the 40th, DeBear is back for Caching Offline. Then September 11th, we have Our Essential Tools, talking about some of the stuff that we use. And on the 18th, it's going to be Evernote 2. You can email us at geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com. Call in your comments to 206-350-3647, or drop them into the live Q&A for the Google Plus Hangout on Air. If you'd like to join us live, the shows are always recorded at Thursdays at 9:10 p.m. Eastern, 6:10 p.m. Pacific. Well, as long as we don't run into some, Google issues. With the future recording schedules available at geogearheads.com/upcoming, including links to the Google Plus Hangouts event pages, and a link that will help you translate the start times into your own time zone. And you'll want to make it to those randomized shows, especially the next one, because we have that live drawing in each of those shows, and the next one is going to be for that special navigation coin from coinsandpins.com.
Now, for next week, we have another Project-GC.com 180-day membership for one GeoGearhead. 180 days, that's half a year. That's almost 6 months. I don't know if you knew that. So get ready and get that email to geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com and title it Question 138. Now, next week's guest spent a week in the Yosemite blacksmith shop, so we'd like you to tell us in which year Yosemite became a UNESCO, that's UNESCO, World Heritage Site. So what year did Yosemite National Park become a UNESCO World Heritage Site? Email that with the title Question 138 to geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com by 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on August 20th. with your geocaching.com screen name and the answer to which year the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So, what year that happened? What year that was inducted? So, if you get the right answer, you'll be entered into the drawing for that code from projectgc.com. And did I say that was a 180-day membership? Because that's a 180-day membership.
So check the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by calling 206-350-3647, by emailing geogearheads at cachemaniacs.com, or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron or making a PayPal donation through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Hoffenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2014 by Daryl Wanberg, all rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachemaniacs.